Once again, once again, it's on. 50 Cent is doubling down. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. He's doubling down. And now that he's doubling down, because yesterday, we all reported on it, and I said, I haven't heard nothing about Jimmy Henchmen getting poked up. I'm like, I don't understand what's going on here. Now, let's get into the whole semantics of everything, right? 50 Cent was told, it was stated that 50 Cent was lying after he had talked about how Jimmy Henchmen got poked up, and it was on the internet. Saying he got poked up in jail, and 50 Cent is basically bragging on it while, in jail. So Jimmy Henchmen came out, as we saw in the previous video I did, talking to Supreme's son, Preem Jr., calling from prison. And while he's called from prison, he says, this guy's a rat, he's a liar, and these guys a rapper and all that, trying to find a way to trick me, out of my position. And he's talking about coming home as he's fighting his case and everything, that's going along with it. Now, with that being said, everybody's like, oh, 50 was capped. 50 didn't know what he was talking about. 50, you posted that and you didn't know what was going on. You should have waited. Got the information. Jimmy just made you look like a liar, right? So now you have another situation where 50 Cent makes a new post. And it says, World put Jimmy on a gurney. And he's laughing. 3 months ago in Hazleton, old rat ass Negro lying. Now he's in Missouri. He know I know what's up. See, it's hard to be tough around tough Negroes. And now, who is World? Somebody might say. Now, World and 50 aren't friends at all. Let's get that straight now. Okay, World, they're not the best of friends. Damian World Hardy is a problem. He was a problem before he turned his life over to being a Muslim, and changing his ways. That's why I would be surprised that he did that. But that dude he was something else. I'm not going to lie to you. His brother was even worse. They became the real life CMB. Him and his brother. They were the Cash Money Brothers. Big knew of them. And they were the big time ballers in that area. D-Rock, all those guys. The Lafayette Gardens. Y'all know what they're talking about, Bed-Stuy. They had the 90s on lock. So they got a lot of shootouts. I think his brother got killed in one of the shootouts. And If my memory serves me correct, please forgive me. But they had a whole drug empire. Yeah, they were inspired by New Jack City. Seeing New Jack City and how Wesley Snipes played the role of Nino Brown. Wise was like that. His brother Myron. And it's a drug war. Drug war ensued. There's a lot of people involved in this drug war. Jimmy wasn't, and his people weren't really friends of World and the CMB brothers. So, okay. So, all right. Now I can get it's my full attention. I'm almost halfway doing this because I'm halfway asleep. But let me turn on and give y'all the real. Listen. Now, Love, was one of the main dudes. And Spoonie. Them the people I know. Because people be like, how you know any of this? Spoonie. And Love. Okay? Now, they used to work with him. They had some falling out over price. And some dudes got, touched up. And the situation happened where, Wise got killed. He was in the hospital recovering. And a lot of people think, Wise's people, they just want to took out Homo, the guy who shot 50. And it's a host of other people, right? So they claimed he ordered a lot of hits. Trying to put this in a delicate situation as much as possible. So, anyway, little brother World became the number one guy. Have you seen Belly? You saw Belly, right? All right. Well, just think of Wise and Lock Kid. Similar, but not quite. They never had a buns under them. They were crazy. Especially World. World wasn't a businessman. He was in the business of slaying. He suffered from schizophrenia his whole life, and they didn't even think he was competent to stand trial. He goes from 0 to 60. He's got erratic behaviors, and Little Kim liked guys like this. She often finds herself with dangerous men, and you see that a lot. And a lot of these women, Little Kim, Nicki Minaj, they need a dangerous man. They feel to be protected. And it's like, what world do you want to live in? That you're like successful. Why would you do something like this? This doesn't work. Taking a dangerous man into your, you know, your area of living. So they convicted World on 6 counts of all the counts of 6 murders, and he got life in prison. He got 6 life terms. And so World is never getting out of jail. Even though World says he's 100% innocent and that he's a prophet, and now he's a Muslim and everything else, and he's, in the federal penitentiary. So they called him the leader and top enforcer, Damian Hardy, aka World. And his boy eBay, they both went down for life. Life in prison. Now, in comes Jimmy. Well, eBay, this is street stuff. We're going to talk about that I'll talk about that part on the Patreon. I shouldn't even bring up eBay, but he was connected to it too. But we'll do that this is Lafayette Garden stuff. We'll talk about that on the Patreon. And then I'll tell you how Spoony and all this come into play. Then you'll know it better. I'm trying to be as delicate as possible when doing all this by telling you stuff that you can actually see. Now, there was a problem having something to do with I don't know if it was Jimmy's people or whoever, but they were normally allies. Fifth had more problems with World than anybody else. This all stems from the magic stick situation. And all you got to do is go look up the truth behind 50 Cent and Lil' Kim beef and how they had the #1 song and it was no promotion behind that song. And that was supposed to be on Get Rich or Die Trying. Like, can you imagine that? And Lil' Kim wanted it for her album. And this is why, 50 got played. And it was his first time learning how the business worked. How the industry tricks were. So, I won't rehash all that. We already know what that is. But 50 Cent wanted to prove he's not a liar. And proved he knows where Jimmy is located right now. But one thing's for sure, Jimmy sounds like he's okay. He survived whatever incident that may or may not have happened. But there's a lot of things that can happen to people in different places. So we got to always keep our head on a swivel because you never know what's coming next. So thank you for listening. This is the update of where we are right now in this whole 50 and Jimmy situation.